over the last decades. That's point number one. There are Majan Anning, which some of you here will know, is my partner, my wife. She is a former Labour councillor. She's still a member of the council, but she resigned from the Labour Party, and she's in regular online contact with other former Labour councillors. There are groups that have formed in a whole number of Labour-run authorities. In one or two cases, not in one or two, in some cases it's no more than an individual, maybe two individuals, maybe three, but in a whole number of local authorities, it's a significant number. Some of them hitherto office holders who sit in one form or another as independent Labour. So it's a designation now, not only that this individual or that individual espouses, but it's attracting actual groups of operative municipal, local authority members. So this is altogether something which is, I think we can say, a much more serious challenge to the Labour Party than any of the far left initiatives that have been attempted over most of my lifetime, 30 or 40, 50 years, whatever it is. Some of them very good people who got a fine militant record, fine socialist record, but they were basically marginalized by their own forms of organization as well as the hostility of the right. This is something different. This is something different. And I think it will manifest itself in two ways. Firstly, I think there will be a real appetite by members to be actively involved in shaping the policy of the new party, not merely subscribing to some, a general approval for half a dozen or a dozen principles. I mean, all very important, but I think, and I understand from others who are more involved at the heart of the project than I am, that there's a very large number of the members. I mean, 500,000 people, over 500,000 people have explicitly written to express their interest in being members of this organization. So we're not talking about 500 or 5,000. I mean, 500,000. That's serious money. I mean, that's serious. Whether or not there's a drop off for some, disillusion, anything is possible. But we're talking about a phenomenon on a quite different scale to anything that I, at any rate, have seen over the decades, which go back, in my case, to the left that was led by Aneurin Bevan against Gateskill, and then Tony Benn later on, and well, the rest we all know. Michael Foot at one stage, believe it or not. The various left currents rose and fell and left very little result on the ground. So, what more can one say at the moment? Very little, really, in detail about how things will be run, how accountability will be structured in a convincing fashion. So, all very well to talk about democratic this and democratic that. This party cannot afford an ounce of cynicism about its commitment to rank and file accountability, leadership accountability, and rank and file democracy. Second unknown is what is and stroke will be the attitude of the trade union movement to this emergence of a new left political party. I'm no more informed than anybody on this call will be about the details of the different unions, maybe less well informed in some cases, I'm sure I probably am. But I think across the board, even on unions run by the right, there is a real concern that this new initiative is going to require very careful handling by the trade union bureaucracies. Very careful indeed, and nowhere more so than in Unite. Nowhere more so than in Unite. The trade union leaders are drawn both ways, simultaneously in some cases. But they are, I think, going to come to terms with the fact that there are other players on the political ground emerging than merely the Parliamentary Labour Party and the clapped out old bureaucrats that every now and then have consultations with affiliated unions. No, none of the unions have written off completely the possibility of having some engagement with the new party. But others are clearly refusing to commit themselves at this stage. And I think in the case of Unite, there is probably going to be a real serious discussion between the different elements that form the upper echelons of Unite. So we're talking again about something that is quite different to anything else that has been on the agenda as a possible alternative to the Labour Party. Um, Along with this account I'm giving that this is a serious project, not a fly-by-night operation, is the fact that quite a lot of money is being raised from the new members because they've been told that they will need financial reserves for all the apparatus that is needed, offices, no doubt, etc., etc. Um, Payment for people to travel up and down the country, which is going to be essential, etc. There are real and very legitimate costs that will have to be funded. Um, what could go wrong? Well, in theory, lots of things could go wrong. There could be some falling out among the very small group that is at the heart of this initiative. Jeremy Corbyn, Zara Sultana, and there are differences of emphasis. I wouldn't say they're more than that between Jeremy's traditional programmatic approach and Zara Sultana, who brings a slightly fresher and new and sharper radical cutting edge to her politics. That's in my humble opinion. So all of these relationships and the debates that will be generated in defining policy and defining also when the policy is determined what the parliamentary tactics will be, because there may well be members of parliament among the members of the new party. So there will be, you know, some very sharp challenges to turn program into concrete interventions on some of the key issues that are going to come up because we are heading for example, just to give two, the austerity budget that is coming in, what is it, a week, 2 or 3, 4 weeks time, is going to be a pretty dire outline of financial austerity with knobs on, right? So that itself is going to demand of the left that they have to talk more concretely and specifically, and not just in terms of vague, more progressive alternatives, and how they will vote in Parliament, or how any members of the new party that find themselves in Parliament, either having left the Labour Party or for any other election that might come up, local by-election or whatever, who knows? I think that it's going to be it's going to be a very tricky period to get this balance right. And I think the balance has to be that the leadership does need to do more than just carry the members with them. They have to evolve systems of policy determination that are as broadly open to the members so as to underline just how different in practice the new party is to what we have been living with, it seems to me, since the year dot with the Labour Party. Um, I haven't got much more to say because I have no more reliable intelligence on what is happening. I think there's a small group of people who have the confidence of Jeremy Corbyn and Sarah Sultana working to mold a single way forward. I don't think that all the potential tensions have entirely been eliminated or misunderstandings or different approaches. They will have to live with those. And the only way of living with them is to acknowledge them where they exist and seek to justify, or to have a more thoroughgoing debate to avoid needless divergences. There will be differences of language that will be used about this issue or that issue. It will be quite easy to say, well, she didn't say quite the same as he said, or vice versa, and so on. That there will have to be a degree of discipline developed by those in high position, which are often the people who advise the position, people at the very top, as much as the people at the very top themselves. That we know from our experience with the Labour Party. So I think, just in conclusion, because I've probably droned on too long anyway, this launch shows every sign of going ahead. Um, I think it would be some unforeseeable crisis that derailed it entirely at this point in time. I think it will have to have real tangible conviction about its democracy and about its accountability, because it will be handling money from members. I mean, the enormous response of all those who said they were interested, the great majority, 80%, said yes, and I'll pay now. So, this is quite important, and it's often sometimes around these issues that needless troubles can emerge, and the right will be there to exploit it. So I'll stop there. I know there are many questions. There are questions I have, but I don't know the answers to. I don't think this is a rerun of any kind of new sect. I think it is an attempt at a much broader party. I rather, personally, I rather liked the idea of possibly calling itself the Independent Labour Party. The ILP was a left force in British politics until really the 45 election and what followed. But look, that may be nostalgia or something else, I don't know. I think the concept of an independent Labour Party, uh, it's in the very language used to the title of the party, which I think is something very important that we make prominent throughout. Look, I'll stop there. I'm sorry if people thought there would be more exclusive inside as to the details of the organization that is of the assembly of all members that is planned in the immediate aftermath of the Labour Party conference. Maybe bits of it will emerge before the party conference, because they must be very close now to tying down the details of time, place, delegate basis from membership, etc., that will be needed to make this a reality. Thanks. I hope I haven't gone on too long.
Thank you, John. Excellent as usual.